Hi, I'm Julie Gizzi, an Executive Director with the Pampered Chef, and thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to do a quick episode on kale. Now, I know maybe some of you have tried kale before, and some of you have probably heard of it, but have never tasted it before. So today I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can work with kale. I'm going to teach you how to use it for breakfast, for lunch or for dinner, and for a snack. Our family has been enjoying kale for a couple of years, and I was first introduced to kale when we started working with a CSA at the summertime. CSA is Community-Sponsored Agriculture, and if there's a program like that near you, you receive a share of produce every week throughout the summer months. Well, we used to get a lot of kale, and I didn't really know what to do with it, so I learned how to work with this great vegetable. So if you've not seen it before, it's kind of like this. It's got a rough, curly stem. Sometimes you'll find flat varieties, and typically there's a long stem in the back here that's kind of tough, and you don't really want to eat that. So you can just cut it away from your stalk, just like that, or you can simply rip it off. So what's all this news about kale? Why should we want to eat it in the first place? Well, kale is obviously, it's very low in calories, like most vegetables are. It's very, very high in vitamin K, and that's great for our health, for eye health, as a cancer preventer. It's high in fiber and high in vitamin C, among other things. It's a great anti-inflammatory, and so it's just a really good all-around vegetable. It's considered one of those power foods. You find it in the grocery store pretty easily, and I used to just think it was one of those ornamental lettuces on veggie trays, but it's actually pretty delicious. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to rinse it off. I've got my salad and berry spinner here, and I'm just going to spin it dry. We're going to start first with a breakfast smoothie. Okay, and I'm going to hit the brakes and pull it out. Our salad and berry spinner makes it really easy to work with fresh greens, particularly as we head into springtime when there's more like Swiss chard and greens of all kinds. So you're going to start with a blender and add a good handful of kale. I don't really measure very much when I make smoothies. I sort of just dump whatever I have in there, but I like to put in the kale first so it'll get nice and whipped up. And to that I'm just going to add a variety of things. Use whatever fruits your family likes. In here I have some pineapple that I've speared with our pineapple wedger. I've got some fresh strawberries and fresh blueberries. I'm just going to throw those in. And then I like to add a banana, and this is kind of a big one, so I'm just going to get half of it in there. That's a pretty good trick to do for your family, by the way. You can break those bananas in half. Just got to do it fast. They think you're Superman, Superwoman. Okay, dump that banana in there. And then I like to add a little bit more to it for protein. I'm going to throw in some chia seeds. This is another one of those superfoods that's making a lot of headlines right now. I'm going to add about a tablespoon in there. And chia seeds are very high in omega-3s. And what's different about chia versus flax is you don't need to grind it. We can digest these without grinding, and they are just wonderful for you. So I put a tablespoon in there. I like to add a dash of our Karinji cinnamon and about a quarter to a half a teaspoon of some of our Madagascar bourbon double strength pure vanilla extract. It's delicious. And then for a little bit more protein punch, I add some PB2. This is a great product. It's basically peanuts that have been pressed to get all the oil out. So you've removed all of the fat from the peanuts. So if you're trying to avoid peanut butter for all those extra oils, just get PB2. It's powder, and you throw it in there, and if you like to just mix it up with a little bit of water, the instructions are on the container, you'll make peanut butter that tastes just as good as something out of a jar, but without all of the extra calories. Okay, now to that we're going to add a bit of ice, so about a cup of ice or so, and some water. So depending on how thick you like your smoothies to be. So I put about 2/3 of a cup of water in there. Let's see, I think I put everything in there that I want to add. And so cover it up. If you have different fruits, you can do that. You can even do grapes. I've done applesauce, whatever you like. So stick it on a blender. And when I do smoothies, I always like to make sure that the ice is in the upper part. It seems to grind better. So we're going to turn this on. there will determine how green it's going to be. The first time I made this, honestly, my son wasn't too crazy about it. It looked weird. It didn't look like the strawberry pink types of smoothies that I had made, and it was actually more green because I must have had different combinations of fruits. Over time, though, he's really come to love it, and we all enjoy these. And oftentimes, this is what we'll have for breakfast. So just pour it into a tall glass, and it's ready to enjoy. Now, if your family doesn't like them when they turn out really green, just find something fun to call it, like a Grinch smoothie or something like that, and they'll love it. So that one is ready for breakfast. So next, let's do some lunch. Kale salad is something that I tried while we were on vacation last summer. There was a sidewalk vendor that was making them in a healthy food cart, and I tried it out because it just seemed interesting, and I was so surprised at how delicious it was. I'm going to teach you how to do it here today. So you want to start with a bowl that's big enough for mixing. And I love our stainless bowls. They've got silicone bottoms so they don't slip. And to that, we're going to work with an avocado. So this is going to have an avocado dressing. And your avocados should be kind of black in color and have a bit of give to them. And then you know that they're really good and ripe. So we're just going to need half of an avocado for this recipe. Give it a twist, and we've got a really beautiful avocado. Just take your skins and pinch them, and all of your avocado is going to fall right out. Perfect. Okay, to this I'm going to add a little bit of salt, not too much. And I'm going to take the back of my scraper and I'm just going to mash up this avocado so it's kind of creamy, because this is going to be our dressing. Beautiful. Okay, so it's all kind of mashed. I'll set that aside. Next, I'm going to slide this over here for a second. We need some lemon juice for this recipe, and I really like to make sure that I use all of my ingredients when I'm cooking. And so since I don't need the zest, I'm going to go ahead and pull it off, and I'll use it another time. And so take your microplane and just get all that zest off. And what I do is I keep a little Ziploc bag in my freezer, and I'll have some zest in there, kind of in a thin layer. So when I'm doing muffins or a marinade or something where I need zest, I just pull out a couple teaspoons of it, and it's ready to go. So you don't have any waste that way. All right, so back to our knife. We're gonna get about a half a cup, or about a half a lemon's worth of juice for this. And you're noticing today we're using whole foods, mostly all fresh ingredients, and the more you can eat that way, the healthier you're going to be. So we're gonna add the juice of a half a lemon, and this is basically making one serving. So if you're making for more, definitely add, double your ingredients. I'm gonna add a bit of olive oil, about 2 teaspoons or so, not a lot. And if you like, you can probably even skip that part. It's just fine. And just make sure all of your guacamole, basically it's like guacamole, simple version, just avocado, lemon juice, salt, and the olive oil is all just like that, nice and smooth. All we're going to do now is add some of our kale, and it's mostly torn up into bite-sized pieces. Get a few more in here. And about 2 cups or so worth, whatever you would eat for a salad. And then I've got some grape tomatoes. I've already gone ahead and sliced these in half. And if you have a nice whole tomato, feel free to just cut it up into chunks. And you're going to just stir this up until all of the avocado coats your kale leaves. This salad is so delicious. Okay, that looks fabulous. So I'm just going to put it on a platter. This is part of our Simple Additions series from the Pampered Chef. Okay, and you're just going to stick it all on here. And there's a few chunks of avocado, and that's good. It makes it interesting. And then to finish it off, we have some smoky red pepper rub that's great for veggies and for meats. I like to add a little sprinkle of that over the top. And I also love our garlic and herb rub, and I like to put a little bit more of that on there. And this means you don't need to use as much salt, so it'll taste really yummy for you that way. So there is our kale salad. Okay, so we've made breakfast, we've made some lunch. let's go ahead and make a snack together. So kale chips, you've probably seen them in the store. They're really, really easy to make at home, and I'm going to teach you how. We have a microwave chip maker that's going to help you do this. There's two different ways that you can make your kale chips. You can bake them on a baking stone, and if you're going to do that, about 375 to 400 degrees for about 20 minutes is all that you're going to need. Super easy to do. For this version, for the microwave chip maker, we've got our wash and dried kale. It's very, very important that your kale is dry. If you have extra moisture on there, it's not going to dehydrate quite as fast. So we've got our kale that's already been washed and dried. Our salad and berry spinner is very efficient in that. Okay, so you're just going to put them in a single layer, and we're not going to add any oil. So whether you're doing potato chips, sweet potato chips, apple chips, or even kale chips, there's no oil on this. It's a really healthy snack. We're going to spritz this with some lime juice. So this is our oil spritzer, but it's not going to have any oil in it at all. I'm just going to set our funnels. These are flexible funnels. They're silicone. Just going to set it on top. And I've got half of a lime here. Our citrus press. And did you notice I put it in there upside down? So cut side down. Lots of juice squirting everywhere. You know you've got a good lime when they have yellow patches on them and they feel heavy for their size. That means it's especially juicy. So here we go. Our lime is all squeezed out. Okay. So what we want to do is give a little spritz of the lime juice over the kale chips. I think this produces really great flavor. So you're going to make this tight. The top cap pushes air into the kitchen spritzer. So it produces kind of an aerosol effect without any of the aerosol chemicals. Once it feels kind of tight, you know you're okay. I would typically do this over the sink so it wouldn't get all over the counter, but okay, just like that. And it's done. By the way, when you're done using your kitchen spritzer, release the air pressure in there before you're storing. Because this is juice, I wouldn't store this in the cupboard, but if you're storing oil, you would want to release it before you put it in the cupboard. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the smoky red pepper, or whatever seasonings you like. I really love this seasoning. And this is ready to go. I'm going to put it in the microwave for just 2.5 minutes. And then this is what you're going to have. So they have shrunk. This plate was full just like before, and they're nice and crispy. See? So what would you do with kale chips? Obviously they're delicious to just snack on, but something else you might do is you might they shatter really, they're very brittle. So maybe if you like to do like a loaded baked potato, you could crumble it on top, or crumble it on top of a salad if you like. Some other things that you can do with kale, I often will add them to soup. And so I'll take it and I'll mince it pretty fine and add it at the end of the cook time. It will not really affect the flavor of your soup, but you're going to get all those great vitamins. And then the most common way that I think people are familiar with kale is sauteing. You can just saute some kale in a tiny bit of olive oil, or just in some veggie broth with some garlic. Add your kale, let it saute for about 5 or 6 minutes, and it makes a great side of sauteed greens. But I love them raw. And so I hope you learned something today about how to incorporate kale into your family's diet. You're going to love how healthy it is and how creative you can become when using this great vegetable. Bye for now.